Hi everyone, thank you for visiting my channel today. Today I am using pigment powders to create my tag. I have got quite a range of different pigment powders and I've got them out here for you. I've got Brushos, Luscious from Indigo Blue, Primary Elements and Prism powders from Hunky Dory. Some of them contain binders, some of them don't. As I'm never sure which ones do and which ones don't, I do use a fixative with those if I'm only using them with water, and some of them I'll be mixing with other ingredients, so I don't need to have a fixative. I've started off here by spritzing my mixed media paper with water and then sprinkling the Brusho powders, leaf green and turquoise. I'm adding extra water and I'm using the brush to get a little bit more control over where my pigment powders go. Now you can just sprinkle the powders on and then spritz in the water, but today I wanted to be a bit more controlled over where my powder was going. Once that was dry, I'm using the Multi-Mini Distressed Diamonds from Crafty, and I'm using my Versamark clear ink pad. I then decided that it would be easier to do it not on the block, and I'm stamping off after I've stamped onto the tag to make sure there's no Brusho powder on my stamp before I then add some more Versamark. Now you won't see this at the moment because obviously it's a clear-ish sticky ink. My pad's not that clean because it's quite old. And then I'm using the blue Primary Elements with a very soft brush. I think I got the brush with some Cosmic Shimmer mica powders many years ago. And I make sure that I don't put too much onto my tag, and then I'm going over the areas and it's sticking where the Versamark ink is. And it's got a slight sort of shimmer to it as well, the Primary Elements. So make sure I brush off all the excess. And then I'm using this fixative, it's called Spectrafix. I bought it quite a while ago, and the reason I use it is because it's a really sort of environmentally friendly and doesn't have much smell to it as well. Now I'm using some of the Prism powders, which are a pearlescent pigment powder, and I'm mixing them in with some Perio white modelling paste. Because this is mixed in with the modelling paste, this actually won't need a fixative because the modelling paste will be holding it into place. Now because it's white, it obviously gives the pigment more of a pastel sort of look, and it will dry the same colour. If I wanted to get a more translucent or transparent look, I could add it to a clear gel medium instead. And I'm putting it through one of the Crafty texture discs just to add a little bit more texture and interest to my tag. I'm now stamping out the large rose from the Crafty Botanicals range, and I'm using a stamping platform because it is quite a big stamp. It does need a little bit of extra inking to make sure you get all that lovely detail, and if you're using a stamping platform, obviously you can keep going back in as I do here. And I'm using archival ink because I'm going to be using, well, to start with, I thought I was going to mix my pigment powders with water to make a watercolour. I actually changed my mind, as you'll see in a moment. I cut out my rose, and now I'm actually using glazing medium with my pigment powder to make more of a paint that is more of like an acrylic paint but more of a glaze, so it gives a nice transparent sort of little bit shiny quality. And again I'm using my Brusho powders, so this time I'm using the leaf green for the stem and the leaves, and I'll be using scarlet for the flower. I don't have any ratios of what I use. I just put a little bit in and then add what I think. If I want the colour to be a bit darker, I add a bit more powder. If I wanted it to be a bit lighter, then I could always add a little bit more glazing medium. The glazing medium I'm using is from Golden. I bought it quite a while ago to actually use to extend my acrylic paints on my jelly plate. So it has sat around not really being used, so it's quite handy to find another use for it. Once I've painted in the main part of the rose, I decided that I wanted to add some deeper colour to some areas, so I just added a bit more of the brusher powder into the glaze, and then just added a darker red where I thought maybe the rose would be a bit darker. I ended up actually colouring most of the rose in the darker and just leaving a few lighter areas. I stamped and cut out a sentiment from Tagtastic 3 from Be Crafty, and as my rose was stamped in black and my sentiment was in black, I decided that I'd add a little bit of archival around the edge of the tag. This also helps to create more of a frame for placing my rose and my sentiment in place, and using glue gel just to give it a little bit extra dimension. All links will be in the description box below if you're interested in any of the Be Crafty products. And if you have enjoyed the video, if you would like, I would really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to my channel, that would be really great. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye bye.